Hello there, and welcome back to Life in Bold. I'm so excited about this episode. Today we have on Kayla Barry, who is a comedian in New York City. I met her last month and we immediately hit it off. I thought I have to have her on the podcast, and here we are. Kayla is really funny. She's self-deprecating. She's queer. She's like a really funny person, and I really enjoyed our conversation, and I'm really just happy that we're friends. It's just such a cool thing to find queer comedian friends, and I'm so happy. You know, on my own journey toward living my life in bold, I think something that we haven't totally talked about is surrounding yourself with the right people and surrounding yourself with people that you have things in common with and that you have shared identities and just shared experiences. And so I am so excited to continue these conversations with more comedians on Life in Bold. But this was a really great start. I really enjoyed our conversation. So I hope you enjoy today's episode. And without further ado, please welcome to the Life in Bold stage, Kayla Barry. Hey, Kayla, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Ben?
I'm really actually so excited to be interviewing you, chatting with you on Life in Bold. I set out a goal, actually just to like totally fast forward into like how we know each other and stuff. We were at a show at Stonewall and I was talking to Jimmy and talking about my podcast, and I was like, I want to make it more funny, and we were like, no, keep it serious. But in reality, like I kind of want to just have a little bit of both. And so
Oh, yeah.
I want to have like comedians on, and that's what you are, and that's how we've met. So I'm so excited to just be chatting.
Yeah, I'm really feel honored. I feel honored to be on here.
Exactly. I would love to know, sometimes I do this from your perspective. I would love to know from your perspective how we know each other. Like, what's the story there?
All right. So there's this great little place called Release Cafe in Bushwick or one of the places in Brooklyn. My friend Hans is the owner, and he invited me to be the feature comedian on one of their open mics. It was a very cool, very amazing venue, beautiful stage, beautiful people. And before I performed, you performed. And I got to see you with your guitar. I got to see you with your poetry and making people laugh. You were with the girl I'd never met again, I don't think.
Yeah. Susan. I was with my friend Susan.
Oh, great, great. Well, hi, Susan. But yeah, and I love music. I love comedy. I love when they're together, and I love poetry. We saw amazing people that night,
Hmm.
and we became fast friends. We just said,
Fast
"Hey, let's
friends.
be friends." I think what you said was, "Let's be friends,"
Yeah.
and I said, "Okay, that sounds good to
Yeah.
me."
Totally. Because honestly, like I feel like I just started doing comedy more seriously like last summer. And I feel like I spent the first part or the last half of last year going to like open mic nights in Manhattan. And I just feel like the diversity is just not a thing. Like it's
Mhm.
just a lot of straight white guys at these open mic nights. And so just even having just a woman who like talks about really funny stuff, like it made me just so happy to be at this open mic night. And it was such a vibe. Like there was good music. Like I loved performing in that little spot. You were so funny, like talking about all your stories of well, you really got me with your story about your name, Kayla Barry,
Oh,
where
really?
yeah, that really got me where you were talking about people's nicknames for you. What was the
Oh, yeah.
nickname that you wanted? You wanted to be
I wanted to be Raspberry. I begged my parents to let me change my name,
yeah.
Raspberry.
Oh my
I
gosh.
mean,
It's
now I'm an adult, I can do it, but
Kayla Barry is also pretty good too.
oh, thank you. It has a nice ring to it. It has a
Hmm.
nice ring.
Yeah.
Uh, then on the playground, the kids started calling me Dingleberry, and that's
So
where
rude.
I had to learn what that meant.
Hmm.
I had an older sibling, so they taught me
Is
the
that
bad
why
thing.
is that why you're in comedy today because of that situation?
Probably. Actually, it's really just that I'm a self-deprecating comedian. So
Hmm.
if I'm deprecating myself, nobody else can hurt me because I'm already doing the worst of it.
Isn't that the truth?
That's how I am anyway.
When did you start doing comedy?
Technically, out of the womb. No, I always been the class clown, that kind
Hmm.
of thing. But
Hmm.
for real, starting my career was in 2014. Then I took a 7 or 8 year break, and now I'm back at it. So in a way, I'm new at it now
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm starting from scratch basically.
Yeah, I feel like I came to New York with the idea that I wanted to do comedy and just even just be around more comedy. And then I did it a couple times throughout my 20s, but in my 30th birthday, like I kind of coined this phrase, the journey to 30, because between ages 29 and 30, I basically put myself on a path to like I basically don't want to have like regrets on my 30th birthday and I want to feel good about myself on my 30th birthday. And I entered therapy. I started doing all these things to like just like really get a grasp on like who I am. And it was ultimately like a really beautiful journey to 30. And when I turned 30, I had an energy work session with someone in Nashville where she basically like talked to me for an hour and then put me on like a massage table and like calmed me down. And her whole thing was that like she can see images based on my energy and whatever. And I was like, I don't even care like what of this I believe, but I was like, let's just like see what she has to say. And she sat me back down and she was like, you are a performer. Like you need to be on stage, you need to be like performing.
Cool.
And she said like when she shut her eyes, she saw like me like on Broadway stage, like snapping my fingers with like dancers behind me and stuff like that.
Whoa.
And I was like, okay, this is pretty clear that like this person that just met me and talked to me for an hour and like read my energy is like, you absolutely need to be performing. And so I just kind of put myself on this path. And now I'm like doing comedy and like getting out there and stuff. And what excites me the most about it, honestly, is like meeting people like you, making new friends, meeting people that honestly I have a lot more in common with than a lot of people in my current life. Um, like just even last weekend when we went to the bar after the solo show extravaganza that we went to.
Yep.
Like that was just so fun. It's been so long since I've been out at a bar just like hanging out and making jokes and it just felt really good.
Yep. It's a natural. I think everyone we've been meeting, everyone personally I've been meeting is
Hmm.
just so easy to talk to. Everybody's so nice. Everybody's
Hmm.
so funny.
Hmm.
They care about what I have to say for some reason. And it just time flies. Suddenly it's 3 a.m. and you're like, oh, I got to take the subway home now because
I know.
we talked too long, or that we shut down the bar that night. I think they were
I think we
kicking
did.
us out.
Right, because they were playing New York, New York.
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
And I was filming myself dancing to New York, New York, which was just the ultimate dream.
I remember that now. And good thing you didn't wave that American flag around because that.
You know what's funny? Actually, I went to a soccer game yesterday, a women's soccer game in New Jersey, the Gotham FC. And it was really funny because I was thinking about basically at this bar that we went to, there was an American flag sitting in the corner. And I was joking about like, one more drink and I'll be waving the flag around or something. And you were like, no, please do not.
Well, it's like you could get canceled either
Hmm.
way because it's such a
Totally.
the American flag is such a hot button for some
So
reason,
polarizing. Well, so I was at
polarizing.
this game and someone sang the national anthem. And I was like, "Oh, what's our like take on the national anthem this right now?" Because first of all, like there's so much about America that is just so terrible, right? That like should we be like always like talking about the national anthem and like singing the national anthem and like putting our hands over our hearts and things like that? Like everybody gets to make their own decision with that. But it was really interesting because I was in this section and everybody kind of did something different with the national anthem. So like some people, like one guy literally had his hand on his heart and he was standing up and whatever. I stood up because I was like, I don't want to like cause a scene by like sitting down or whatever. And then but one guy was sitting down and I was like, I wonder if he's just sitting down, like he just doesn't want to stand up, or if he's like, I don't stand for the flag or whatever.
Mm.
And it was really interesting because I was just like observing all the different people and how they were reacting. And I really feel like my vibe was like, I just wanted to like support the singer
Yeah,
because
that's my vibe too.
yeah, like she just did such a great job and it is like a banger.
Yeah, it's a great song. It's not as good as this. I might get canceled for this, but I think the USSR national anthem is my favorite. If you haven't heard it, check it out. It's a
Yeah,
bunch of
it's on
men
Spotify.
singing choral music. But
Yeah.
I think as long as Fergie's not singing the national anthem, then you're probably a really good musician and you should be listened to.
Yeah,
I if I
exactly.
think about Whitney Houston doing it, I cry. So I'm
Mhm.
not gonna think about that right now because I
Yeah.
don't want to cry on camera. But it's a great song. It does make me feel a little bit patriotic, but then you're like, what is patriot? What does
Yeah,
that mean right now? But
right, I know, and also the lyrics are so, like, the rocket's red glare, like, is that really why I'm proud to be an American? Because of the rocket's red glare, like, and then it was really funny because you know what, the part where she goes, "And the land of the free," like, kinda
Mhm.
goes up like that? My friend at that point went, "Woo!" And I thought she was harmonizing. And so
Woo!
I looked at her and I was like, "Are you being serious right now?" But I realized quickly she was just cheering at the appropriate time to cheer. But yeah, it's a very funny little time in America.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And well, earlier we were talking about, so I'm not a minority that is being, well, I guess we could talk about that because if I'm LGBTQ, I
Right.
guess we're a little bit of a minority. A woman in comedy is a little bit of a minority
Yeah,
in some places. But a lot of the hot button issues I don't have a say in because I'm not part of them. Like
totally.
I can't. I can support people, but I can't know what they're doing, what they're
Yeah.
going through. So
Totally, totally. Yeah. And that's why I think it's so important to like seek out diversity. Like the more diversity that I can find in these I actually stopped doing like the straight up open mic nights because I was like I actually need to find like a better place to do these because I was noticing like even if I did kill it in these rooms, like these are not the people that would buy my tickets or like subscribe to my Patreon or like that kind of
right.
stuff. Like these are not my people, like just like straight white like finance guys in Manhattan. Like, and I just really I don't know why I just feel like it's like maybe the least funny group of people, but the people who feel that they're the most funny. Um,
Right, right.
not that not everybody, but it just feels like in a room full of 20 straight white guys, like it's gonna be a lot of sitting through the,
Yeah, there's a lot of entitlement there. It's
yeah,
like you will listen to me because I've been listening to everyone's been listening to me my
yeah.
whole life because that's the way it is. But
Right. And I know I'm only one notch off from straight white guy, but I feel like it's a good notch.
so am I. So am I. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. No, yeah, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the more mics I've been finding in Astoria, in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
it's all sorts of people from all walks of life,
Mhm.
all races, all genders, all backgrounds, even not comedians,
Right.
poets. I have found more inspiration from poets recently than
Mhm.
from other comedians, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
totally.
Musicians, I majored in music for some
Mm.
reason. What a waste. But it's been I've been inspired by musicians lately just
Mhm.
to be like, I can pick up my instrument again. I can
Yeah.
create something,
There's
even if
something
it's
yeah, there's something so real about music to me. Like I feel like as a kid I just loved singing and like playing the guitar and like all these different things and I loved bands and I loved like music and I feel like as an adult the more I can connect to singing and playing the guitar the more like authentic I am, the more real I am. And it's really funny because I was listening to do you know Matt Rogers?
I don't think so.
Okay, Matt Rogers is like do you know like Bowen Yang is like from SNL.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So Matt Rogers is like Bowen Yang's like basically best friend, and they have a
Oh,
podcast together called Los Culturistas. And it's a really good podcast. But Matt Rogers actually has a Christmas special that I watched like 5 times last year. And
wow.
basically, it's at Joe's Pub, and he basically sings songs like I don't know from the perspective of different Christmas characters or like about Christmas, and they're comedic songs. And they're like really really funny songs. Like there's one from Martha May Huvier from the Grinch, and it's just he has this song like from her perspective where he's like wearing a wig and like basically she's basically like the whore of Whoville,
Oh
and
yeah.
she's like having sex with all the men of Whoville, and she especially wants to have sex with the Grinch,
Oh,
um, and
I
it just
identify with that so much.
yeah. And it's actually such a good song. but he inspires me so much. And he was on Ross Matthews' podcast talking about his inspiration for the special that he did. And he talked about Sandra Bernhard, um, and how they were talking about how she will just actually sing a song and be serious about it and like just sing a beautiful song. And I have been very inspired by that, like from a comedy perspective. Like, can I be a comedian and then just sing a beautiful song? And I definitely think I can. So actually on Monday, tomorrow, I'm doing a an open mic night in the Lower East Side, and I'm gonna just sing Miley Cyrus's The Climb.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I'm so excited because I'm basically gonna, this is like a sneak peek for all the viewers, but I'm basically gonna like frame it as a song about my landlord raising my rent and like how New York keeps like kicking me down, but I just never want to give up. And then like this here's the climb basically.
I
Um
love it.
and I've been practicing it, and I actually had a voice lesson, and we practiced like the song, and I'm just so curious to see how the audience reacts and like how it goes, because I think like sometimes with comedy like you can also just like be serious, and it's just as entertaining.
You're just, it's like, can you sell being a well-rounded person is really what it
Yeah.
is. And a lot of people don't ring true. I think that, they might seem disingenuous if they're trying to do something that they're not used to doing. But
Hmm.
people like us, I'm tooting our horns.
Yeah,
I
toot
don't
our
know. I think
horns.
it's cool to see different sides of intelligent people. Wow,
Yeah.
I'm really making myself sound. I'm so smart. I have a IQ of 1,000.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Do you perform music ever?
I do, but just have to work up to doing it more. It's really like for some reason, I guess maybe because I spent $40,000 getting a music degree, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm really hard on myself
Mm.
in music. Like that's something I can't be bad at. Like I have to be perfect at it. Or like even I would perform like something that the entire audience said was amazing, but I knew I played three wrong notes and I
Totally.
kicked myself all day. And so I think with the comedy, if I do more comedy and performing with music, I think I can like maybe let go of that control a little bit and
Hmm.
that perfectionism.
Yeah,
I guess like there's just a lot of comedic musicians that I know who are inspiring me because they make mistakes, but
totally.
it's almost funnier. It's almost
Yeah.
funnier when a mistake is made if you're a comedian and
Yeah,
kind
right.
of that
Exactly. Like
playing
being
with
able
the
to improvise your way out of a mistake is such an important skill, talent, whatever.
yes,
Are
yes.
you a perfectionist in life in general?
No, I don't think so. That's a really good question. I I never think like my whole life has just been things working out for me despite me not doing anything. So
Yeah.
it just like call it luck, call it white privilege, call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I'm in a tight spot and things just
It works
work
out.
out and I'm
Hmm.
just like, ooh, I didn't have to work for that. And then it's like training my brain that I don't have to work hard because it all works out.
Yeah.
So in a couple months, I'll be like eating into my savings because I'm spending a lot more than I'm making right now. And then that will be, the time my fire gets lit under my
Right.
butt.
Right.
And then something will happen, of course. Something
Totally.
always
You'll get some
comes about.
job or some gig. Maybe you'll get a national tour.
Yeah. Yeah. We can only hope. Yes. I need I need something. And for me also, audience is my fuel. Like
Mm.
the audience gives me energy and puts more effort into what I'm doing and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah. What's your perspective on finding an audience and like meeting people and, basically like getting fans? Like, do you need that in order to be a successful comedian, or can you just show up and win people over every time?
um, I don't want to toot my own horn again, but I'm very, I make good first impressions, I think.
Yeah,
Um, and a lot of my comedy is funnier when you don't even know who I am, because
totally.
maybe something I say will take you off guard because I'm this small woman that looks I don't even know. Like, do you think I look LGBTQ? Because like I think I'm
That's my
somebody.
new
Not that there's.
podcast. I just bring people on and people vote if they look
Do you look?
LGBTQ.
Well, for me, like I've never been fashionable.
Hmm.
Someone recently just said like you look like you're from the Midwest. They didn't even know me. They said you look like you're from. I was like,
Wow.
well, I am. And what is it? My fashion? What is it? The way I hold myself?
Hmm.
So I just I've
What did they
always
say?
wanted. Well, I don't know. I can't remember. They were just like, yeah. I think they said my outfit
Yeah.
maybe, but like I've always wanted to like be more queer coded. I guess like
Yeah.
my friend like shaved this part when that was cool. I That's probably not cool anymore. That's the thing is I always miss the cool things.
Right.
And then I would like shave my head and people would be like, that's not, or you know what I mean? Like the shave
I
right to
totally
the,
know. Yeah. Like shaving the side of your
um,
head and leaving the rest of it long.
yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's what that would indicate queerness, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think it would
But
help you more in your comedy if you looked more queer?
I don't know because I'm not going for a specific type of audience.
Yeah.
Um, which so I think I like to appeal to everybody. Um I like to tell men that they have a chance with me even if
Yeah.
they might not. Because I'm pansexual,
Hmm.
but I definitely have a preference because girls are so nice
Hmm.
and
That's actually so
soft.
funny because I am gay and obviously I'm into men, but like
Yeah.
I absolutely do not like them. Like I'm absolutely like much prefer to spend time with a woman,
Yeah.
but not that
And
way.
yeah, yeah, not that way, not
Not
that way.
not that way.
Um, Actually, yeah, my whole like childhood, I've always got along with men better. Like I was
Yeah.
like running around with the boys,
Hmm.
the girls like having their tea parties, and I was like climbing trees and jumping out of them. I don't know if that's what boys do, but
Do you think as queer people, our own gender is harder on us about
hmm.
our differences? Because I had an interesting situation a couple of weeks ago where the gym that I go to, it's actually really funny. There's these like five like 14-year-old boys who go there and they're really into the gym and they like go around together and they're like always pumping iron and like they're really small. So like they're doing proportionately like what makes sense for them, but like their weight that they're like lifting is so small, and it just kind of cracks me up. And I was telling my friend who's also queer and a woman, I was telling her like, oh, I get so afraid of like these teenage boys. Like, are they gonna make fun of me? Like, are they gonna kick me out of the gym? Like, are they gonna like punch me in the stomach? Like, I don't know. And she was like, oh, well, what you really have to worry about is the teenage girls because they're the ones that are really mean and whatever. And I was like, no, the teenage girls are like my besties. Like the teenage girls are the ones that like have my back. But then it made me realize like I wonder if as a queer child, if you're a boy, maybe you fear boys more, and if you're a girl, maybe you fear girls more. I don't know. Maybe that's too general.
Yeah, maybe and also I just think everybody should fear
Yeah.
teens in general. I fear all teens. So it doesn't really matter what gender
Right.
they are. Um,
Yeah, I
because that's when you learn to be mean. And that's
mhm.
when people learn that it's that group mentality of like if we're making fun of somebody, then they're not making fun of me. So they're
Totally.
like, we'll pick on this week. It's like
Mhm.
a what do you call that? Darwin's whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not
like
a scientist.
Darwin's theory of
Theory of
evolution. What
um
is it called? The strong, weaker, stronger than the
yeah,
betters.
yeah,
The
exactly. Yeah.
strong, only the strong survive. Is that what you're
Something. Oh yeah,
saying?
yeah. Survival of the fittest.
Survival.
Yeah, that's probably Darwin. Who knows? But it's like you team up on people. And
Hmm.
I, even in my adult life, the thing is, the people I know that are picked on the most are the people who care the most about being picked on.
Yeah.
Nobody picks on me because if you do, I laugh harder. I'm like, you're right. Oh, I am fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
can I swear?
Yeah.
I
Yes,
didn't.
of course.
But like I'll even beat them to the punch, so it's not
Hmm.
fun to make fun of me. But I have a friend who's so mean to my other friend, and she takes it really hard, and she's like, "Why is he so mean to me?" And I'm like, "Well, it's the way you react that gets, I don't
Yeah.
know." this
Totally.
human thing of like they want to get a reaction, they get a reaction, so they keep doing it.
Were
And
you were you bullied in junior high or high school, or besides being called Dingleberry?
I actually don't know if I was or not because I didn't care.
Me
Like
too.
I I was just friends with everybody.
Hmm.
I was a little slut. Oh, sorry. No, I was kind of was though, but
Yeah.
I just had multiple friend groups. I would just jump between them, and if people bad talked me behind my back, I did not know about it
Hmm.
or care really, because I'm like, I don't know. I think it's just stupidity though that I didn't care. I just,
I think I had like a delusional self-confidence.
mm,
I thought I was the greatest thing that ever happened. And anybody who told me differently, I was just like, you're wrong. Like, what are you
yeah,
talking about? I don't understand why you would think I'm anything less than absolutely amazing. And so
or like you're just jealous.
yeah, right. Like, I think that like I I don't know, I always had this very individualized view of myself that there was nobody like me and that I was just so amazing and so unique. And it's so funny because like looking back, that probably did save me a lot of pain because people were surely talking shit about me, at school. Like, I
Mm.
mean, I remember one time I was doing charades at a at a friend's house at like a party, and we were doing charades, and I was supposed to act like a duck or something like that. Like I was supposed to like get it, like act like a duck. And like I was doing like I was like, oh, like whatever. And the guys guessed like fag.
Oh. And you were
Like,
like, yes, and
yeah.
what else? Like,
And I remember I just like it flowed right off of me. Like I was just like, okay, well that's obviously wrong.
I
But I think
like
like
that.
if I had let it get to me and I had like, I don't know, told a teacher or like tried to like fight back or something, like I think it would have gotten worse.
Hmm.
But I think I really believe that I wasn't gay, first of all. I was like, there's no way I'm gay. That doesn't happen to people like me.
Hmm.
And so when people would call me gay, I would be like, okay, well, that's not true. So what's your point? And then I think just in general with like the amazingness, like I think I remember in high school I was really into like dressing up and like spirit days, and so any spirit day that came up, like I would be basically the king of it, and I would do the most amazing outfits. And one day we had a spirit day and nobody really dressed up. I think it was like the freshmen and sophomores had to dress as like futuristic, and then the juniors and seniors had to dress as like cavemen or something. And I came and I was a sophomore, so I came dressed as like a spaceman. So I like covered myself in foil. I like put little green and blue dots all over. I wore a helmet that I covered in foil and put little antennas. And it turned out that I was the only one who dressed up. And everybody was like, why are you wearing that? Like, what do you? And I was like, it's a spirit day. What are you talking about? And they were like, okay, but like nobody else dressed up. And I was like, okay, but there were signs up that said it was a spirit day, so like I'm definitely going to keep this on. And then I just kind of like used that as like a way to stand out even more. I was like, that was like my thing for the day, was that like I was dressed as a spaceman. And I think like another kid that didn't have that like delusional confidence would be like so like embarrassed, like, oh my god, mom,
And like,
like you
mom,
sent me
pick
to
me up.
school. Yeah.
Yeah. Like fake sick in the bathroom. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I threw up. I gotta go home.
Right. Yeah. I think that like I don't know how that carried me through or where I got that, because my family certainly did not teach me that I was amazing necessarily in that way. And I think it was just with my siblings. Like I had three siblings growing up, and I think I just wanted to differentiate myself from them so much that it just caused me to realize that I thought I was amazing. And I remember this one time I had a friend, Nicole, and she was kind of conceited. And she would say, I would say something to her and she would have this like conceited response, like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm amazing. And I think I just like glommed onto that. And I was like, that works for her. It's going to work for me too. But it's kind of a funny thing, like bullying in high school, because what you're saying is like the more you react to it and the more it hurts you, the more it's going to hurt you. It's like kind of
Hmm.
would be like my main message if I ever had kids.
Yeah, me too, which I won't. I
Yeah.
would, I actually, this reminds me, I just told a guy recently that I didn't want to have kids. And he just said, without even stopping, he said, good, you'd be a terrible mom. And I was like, okay, now I kind of want to have one to prove you wrong, you bitch,
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Do you
but
think you would
yeah,
be a good parent?
no, no. I have a cat, and if
Yeah.
she like sneezes weird, I have a panic attack because I'm like, I need to take her to the, she's gonna die. So, and I have nieces,
Hmm.
and I am a helicopter aunt. Like,
Mm.
if my nieces are jumping on rocks, I'm like grabbing their arm, and I'm like, no, watch out, watch out, watch out. And I've actually, there's some parenting beliefs are that if you say watch out too much, or like if you overdo it, then it will make it worse for them because
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a
You're
parent.
you're just reading parenting books.
Yeah, but if I am making food for them, I chop it into like basically mash. I don't
Yeah.
want to see them choke.
Uh-huh.
I'm terrified, and my little sister is their mom, so and I bullied her growing up. So I feel like I'm always going to be like trying to make it up to her. And if
Yeah.
I hurt one of her kids on my watch, it would be unforgivable to myself.
Yeah. Oh man, I saw your TikTok that you posted a few years ago with your dad. It was with your dad
Yeah,
at
my
the April
dad.
Fools. And it
Yeah.
was like he had like shaved off half of his mustache and beard and like you guys like he like staged this like prank, right?
Yeah, it's very, very it's so the story of the whole kind of story is I was living in New York, got into a terrible pandemic breakup, and my dad begged me to come live with him for a little bit, so I did. And his main thing was trying to make me TikTok famous. He wrote, he directed, he shot, he had all these ideas.
Mhm.
And on April Fool's Day a couple years ago, he knocked on my bedroom door, and he had already shaved. He had shaved half of his head
Oh,
and
it was
half
his
of
head
his
too. I
beard
didn't
and
realize that.
mustache.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah, because
gosh.
he doesn't have that much hair, but
Okay.
you can
Yeah.
kind of, if you watch it again, you can see. And he knocked on the door and he said, "I have a great." With his half shaved face, he said, "I have a great idea for a TikTok." And I was kind of pissed because I was like, "Okay, well, what's your pitch? Because you already did it. Like, what if we needed to film you doing that? It's already there."
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was a stupid, like, obviously fake prank,
Hmm.
quote quote prank.
Hmm.
I named it a skit because it was so stupid. But it's me sneaking out of his bedroom with a shaver, and then he
Yeah.
comes out as if he just woke up, and then is half shaved, and he's, "Where's my razor here? What's going?"
Yeah. So good.
Very stupid. But
So good.
it got like almost, I think it got over 500,000 views,
Yeah.
like lots of likes and comments. That might have been my first time going viral.
Yeah.
Um, Not to brag, I've been viral many times.
Yeah.
But he loved that he got me that attention, and then he kept making more. He kept being like, "Oh, this will be a really good idea," and he would debase himself like oh, that's another thing. When you go viral, there's always mean comments. There's always
100%.
mean comments. I laugh at them when they're about me, but for some reason, when they were about my dad, I got really, really angry and defensive. And I was like,
Okay.
"You don't talk about my dad that way," that kind of stuff. But if people said something, one time somebody said to me, "I can't tell if you're 12 or 45." And I was like, that's actually the first time someone said that to me. So thank you. Like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's funny. I've gone viral. I would say I've gone one time like truly viral. I got like 5 million views on like this random video of me ordering a burger as a picky eater. And I was actually just at brunch and I was telling somebody about this story. And I was like, if you ever want to know exactly like, or if you ever want to be called out for the exact things that you're insecure about, go viral on TikTok. Because the comments, like I would say 2/3 of them were just like either fine or like neutral or positive, and then 1/3 was just like going for the gut. And it was just like talking about my weight, talking about like literally my hairline or like my double chin or like my girly voice or whatever, which the ones that were just like you're gay, I was like, okay, that's just a fact, that's fine. But it was a really interesting like kind of social experiment with myself to like go viral and see like how do absolute strangers see me on the internet, and like the most vocal strangers really. um and it was a very very interesting Like I got some really, really mean comments, especially, but it's actually funny. Most of the ones that hurt me were about my appearance, which I thought was a really interesting.
Hmm.
Like
Interesting.
the ones that were about like someone was like, with that receding hairline, you need to grow up and eat more vegetables. And I was like, receding hairline, interesting. That's the thing that gets me.
Do you think sometimes when I read those comments, though, I'm picturing the 14-year-old boys at the gym, because like they
Totally.
don't know any better and they think
Totally.
that's the way to be funny is to
They
be completely mean.
they're just looking for connection.
Yeah. And the fact that like commenting online has like a lot of anonymity. uh, no,
Anonymity.
anonymity,
Yeah.
anonymity. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Survival of the
Um,
fittest.
yes, that. But it's kind of dangerous. Like we could go into like an hour-long talk about like whether social media is good or bad for society, and it's kind
Right.
of both. It's kind of
Yeah.
both
Good thing we're not on
equally.
Congress.
Yes, that's very, very true for many reasons. Um, yes, and so yeah, my dad just his whole life during that time was, I think secretly he just wanted me to stay forever. He didn't want me to go
Yeah.
back to New York. So he just wanted to make me happy. I
Hmm.
was really depressed, obviously, because my relationship went into flames during the scariest pandemic of our lives. I
Yeah.
mean, the only one really that has affected us.
Yeah.
And he would buy me White Claw. I was drinking a lot of White Claw at the time, which wow, I never thought I would say that. But actually, one of my viral videos was about White Claw, so
Mm.
I'll show you that one. I don't know if I've
Yeah.
showed it to you, but I saved every can that I drank because in New York you don't have room, but in Minnesota there's basements, there's attics, there's
Yeah.
garages. You can. So I stored every White Claw can that I drank over the 6 month period, and then he just would buy me more. Like if he
Hmm.
noticed I was running low, he would just say, "I got you some more White Claw." Like I'm like, "Dad, you're my dad. You're supposed to be watching, like lecturing me about how much I'm drinking instead of
Yeah.
just
Your dad actually
enabling
sounds
it."
awesome.
Oh, he's awesome. Yes,
Yeah.
he's actually, I think he's my biggest comedic influence
Really.
of all people, because he started me off really early. What he would do is he had favorite comedians. So when we were kids, he would just
Hmm.
recite bits, but as if he was making them up. Like we were
Yeah.
kids, so we didn't know. But a big one, unfortunately, was Bill Cosby, one of my favorite influences
Can't
growing up.
can't regret that because you didn't know.
Yeah, it's a that's another long thing, which is art versus the artist. Like,
Yeah.
what can we
Totally.
support? If we can't support the artist, then can we still support the art?
Hmm.
Maybe as long as they're not financially benefiting from it.
Right. Totally.
But that was my dad was and still is the most immature but most fun person to be around. A lot of times we have to just tell him to settle down because he's like in public. One of his favorite bits is going to open the door for a lady, and he pretends to smack his face, but
Oh,
he's hitting
funny.
his foot, and so he hits his foot really hard with the door and goes, "Oh, oh, my nose, my nose!" And the girl will always go, "Oh, you okay? You okay?" And I just turn to the girl and go, "He's fine. He's just kidding. He's just kidding." Like, Dad, come on, stop it.
Okay, but I feel like that's what I would do also as a dad. Like if I figured out that joke, like I actually might try it.
There's a reason they're called dad jokes,
Yeah,
and he's the king of them.
that's so funny.
Um, yeah, he's so silly.
Do you
Just
have any like this is something that I'm curious about with like my new comedy friends is like do you have your eyes on a certain like destination or prize with your comedy? Like do you want to like have a show one day or like have a go on I don't know, go have a residency somewhere? Like do you have your eyes on some kind of ultimate success? Obviously it's about the climb,
yeah,
but like
the
do you
clown.
see yourself in comedy absolutely full time? Do you want to like do you have financial goals around it? Like I'm really curious about that.
Okay, so it changes a lot.
Uh-huh.
It changes a lot. I definitely don't wanna be famous because it sounds like a freaking headache. I
Yeah.
do wanna make enough money to not be worried,
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't wanna move out of the city. I you know how in Sex and the City, there's 5 characters, one of them's the city.
Yeah.
That is true for me, and, like, I was telling someone the other like, I can't see myself leaving the city.
Mhm.
I've been here for almost 10 years.
Mhm.
To me, success is making enough money to just stay in the city I love. Because
Yeah.
there's my fallback is going back to Minnesota, but that's, like, the last case,
Right.
scenario. So, I definitely just get the most happiness out of entertaining,
Mhm.
whether it be from making people laugh to I do screenwriting also on the side. I guess one of my dreams has always been to be a showrunner, like make my own
That would be cool.
comedy show, maybe act in it. If I'm like I feel a little bit ugly for TV. I know that's my self-deprecating. I know that everybody when I
Totally.
say that it's like, you're not ugly, you're
Yeah,
beautiful, blah,
isn't
blah,
that so annoying though? Because sometimes we
blah.
just wanna be self-deprecating.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Like, I
And
will
they're
say
like,
th yeah. I will say something self-deprecating, and people are, like, trying to make me feel better. I'm like, "No, I feel fine.
yeah,
I'm just
same.
saying what I feel."
Right, and when you see all the beautiful Kate Blanchetts and all the
Mhm.
beautiful and you don't look like that, you're like, well, I feel ugly, okay, because I'm not the standard beauty, whatever. But and it's not also this is another soapbox, but there are male comedians can be as ugly as they want.
Right.
And I can't even think of an ugly female comedian because
Right.
you have to have a certain standard of beauty to be
Mhm.
famous. I it feels like it's
Right.
probably wrong, but
Well, what's interesting is, like, I feel like not to, like, talk about women in comedy over you, but I feel
what?
like I've heard what have I heard? Like, I feel like a beautiful female comedian, like, I don't know, like Nikki Glazer or like I guess, Amy Schumer or like whatever. Like even Amy Schumer says she feels like ugly compared to other people. Like I
Mm,
wonder like over time because I think that I've heard that like women back then like had to be like they couldn't be as attractive because like for comedy like because they had to be seen as like the not powerful or something like that.
mhm.
That's an interesting thing that I don't have a fully formed opinion on, but I'm like really curious about like that's a really interesting topic, like feeling like a certain level of sexiness for being able to be successful in comedy. My song Uglier Than Me is a really interesting like part in that because
Mm.
I'm basically singing a song where I say I don't want to date somebody uglier than me, but I feel like it's up to the audience to decide how attractive I am. Like, am I saying that
Yeah,
as an ugly person or am I saying that as like an attractive person? Because I think if like a really hot person just went up there and sang that, like it wouldn't be as funny, maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Like because it comes from it's not self-deprecating if a really, really super hot, attractive 10 says like I'm not gonna date anybody uglier than me because then they're basically saying I don't want to date anybody ugly. But I think
yeah,
for me, it's funny because it's like I would date someone ugly, but I don't want to date someone uglier than me, you know? And
yeah.
like
I
there's
like
some
that.
assumption that like I am at least a little bit ugly.
Yeah, because we're not cut from the magazines. I think
Right.
clearly,
I also
but
think the word ugly is just a funny word.
it is a funny
Like
word.
to
Ugly.
call to call someone ugly is actually so rude.
It is rude. It is rude. Or fugly. I've been
Yeah.
called fugly. That one hurts. No.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's actually really interesting. Oh my god. Okay, so to wrap up, what's a good last question? What is your most embarrassing moment on stage?
Oh, okay. So this is a loaded question because I don't think I have that emotion,
Yeah, embarrassment.
being embarrassed. Yeah,
Yeah, me too, actually.
but I do have one story that I should be embarrassed about, but it had to do with drinking before performing,
Oh
and I
no.
don't normally. I'll a lot of times I'll have one, get a little loose, get a little like then perform, then can drink as much as I want.
Yeah.
Actually, the night we met, I also broke a rule. I smoked marijuana
Yeah. Oh my god.
before I went
Such a
up, and
badass.
I well, I mean, it's legal
Hmm.
these days, which is crazy. So the owner was like, "Want to smoke?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's just nice." So
You know
I
what's
did.
funny? He also asked me and I said no. And I was
Well,
actually texting my friend and I was like, there's actually nothing that makes me feel more like a loser than saying no
and
to drugs.
I know, but we were taught that's what you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like, "Yeah, of course I will." So the night I performed, luckily I had come down a little bit during intermission and stuff,
Hmm.
but I was definitely high on stage. But that has nothing to do with the story I'm telling. It's just I don't
Yeah.
like to be kind of out of my head.
Yeah.
Um, but in this particular time, this was in 2014 when I was making my first run at it, and I was mic hopping with another comedian, and it was like 4 in the afternoon down in the financial district. We were drinking at this bar. There were only two more people there. They were like finance bros in suits,
Hmm.
and they were hitting on us. They were buying us drinks. They kept buying us drinks,
Oh no.
and they to the bartender they said, "Let's play a game. Play Roxanne." And they said, "Here's the game. Every time they say red light, you drink. Every time they say Roxanne, we drink."
Oh my God.
It's just a drinking game of Roxanne, red light.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just drinking, drinking, drinking. So I got really drunk, and
Hmm.
we had to go perform. And I don't know what I said. Like I can't tell you. I know I wasn't booed. I know people were laughing, but I was wearing this like dress,
Hmm.
like a skinny strap dress. And the guy who followed me did his entire set about my armpits.
Oh my
He
God.
just like, he just, I wonder who he is because if he's still performing, I could get him canceled. No, I'm kidding. Um, but he just was like, I think he kept trying to go back to his own stuff, but then he would stop and go, "Man, they're just such nice." Like he had an armpit fetish or something.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know if he was trying to be funny, but at this is the embarrassing part now that I should be embarrassed, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Um, he asked if he could lick one of them, and I, of course, being drunk, was like, "Oh, more stage time? Yeah."
Yeah.
So I went up on stage. I'm like, "Another couple seconds of stage time," and I just like go like this. The audience is going, "No, no, don't do it." He licks it, and I'm just like, the attention whore in me is like, "Oh yes, more applause, more attention."
Oh my
So I
God.
guess that was pretty embarrassing, but I don't feel embarrassed about it, but I should.
Like also like it would be so interesting to like see him again at another open mic night. Would you recognize him?
No, no.
He would probably recognize you if your armpits were showing.
Maybe. Yeah, I should go to all mics now with my armpits and just say, "Do you recognize these?
Yeah, right,
Recognize these
exactly.
babies?"
Yeah, like
I don't know.
reward man who loves my armpits, $1,000.
Oh, there's websites for like misconnections, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I can try that.
exactly.
2014 question. I don't know the date, but sometime in
Yeah.
the fall.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. All right, well, we're
Oh,
at time. This was so fun. I really loved chatting with you. Where can people should go follow you? So where can they follow
oh,
you? Where can they
that's so
support
sweet.
you?
Well, I'm trying this new thing called Instagram,
Hmm.
and it's my name, the Kayla Barry. Berry is spelled with an A, not an E.
Hmm.
People like to do with a raspberry. I know because
Hmm.
I use that joke all the time.
True.
I'm at the Kayla Berry on Instagram. I'm technically on TikTok, but that I'll still say it's at Spingo Bango. You can figure that one out. But if you type in my name, I have so many viral stuff. It's almost like I'd rather people see me there because they could see all my viral stuff. But
Hmm.
maybe I'll start getting more traction on Instagram because that's where I've been
Yeah.
going more.
I feel like Instagram is a little bit better for like creating more of a community or like a
Yeah.
following a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Whereas TikTok feels like almost like you're gonna get a good moment and then people it's very fleeting.
Right, right. So all of my networking is coming from Instagram.
Yeah.
So I want more people to see me there.
Yeah, totally. Me
So
too. Me too.
good.
All right. And if you are Kayla's friend or Kayla's fan and you're listening to this podcast and you're not following me yet, you can go to my Instagram and follow me at Ben Hawes Show, or you can follow this podcast at Life in Bold Pod. And I'm also on YouTube now. This podcast is on YouTube, which I actually think is so cool because people can actually find it because YouTube is like a Google search platform. And so Life in Bold Pod on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Were you going to say something?
I was just wondering, like, isn't YouTube the best place to get monetized? Like,
Yeah,
you can get paid the most on YouTube. So maybe
I
I
think
should.
so.
I'll talk to you about that later.
Yeah. YouTube is hard though. It's actually like a really it's hard to get views and hard to like build a community around it, but it's good
Mm.
to have a YouTube channel that people can like spend more time. So I'm actually enjoying having the podcast as a YouTube channel because it's really like long form content. So if I ever did kind of like if this podcast ever did kind of like blow up, it would be very easy to monetize the podcast because it's like hour-long videos. But yeah, it's that's neither here nor there right now.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet, but one day, one day. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on. This was really great.
Yeah, I had so much fun.
Yeah. And to the audience, I hope you have a great day, an even better week. And do not forget to live your life in bold. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my God, we did it.
We did it.